We started songwriting for this album long time ago, right after finishing our touring in 2012. But whenever we came up with new songs, we felt like something was missing to make this the opener of an album. And all in a sudden, when we started with a song called Song 10 back then, we had this impressive intro, which we both loved immediately. But we had different ideas about the song in general. Nonetheless, we at a certain point just knew exactly this would be the missing link for everything. This would be the perfect opener for the album because it had that great choir intro and then a great band intro. It contained everything we could wish for to have on an opener song for this album, and therefore Ninth Wave finally made the plot. At a certain point during songwriting, we came up with more melodious beat metallic songs, and there was one song showing up which is called Twilight of the Gods. Andre threw in some ideas, and I was, looking at it, and I was like, okay, this is supposed to be the melody, speed, fresh song, the die-hard, old-school Blind Guardian would wish we would have done earlier probably. It's the song which calms down the spirit after a song like The Ninth Wave. It's just perfect because it's so melodious, it has so many very fresh speed metal elements and a great gigantic choir.
Yeah. And regarding the choir, it was like hell to find this one, because I don't remember any song where we wrote so many chorus parts to be satisfied. We both agreed with the first one we had, it was good but not good enough, so we continued, and in the end I think we wrote 8 chorus parts just to choose this one. But now we are really satisfied, it's working great, and it was worth spending so much time in this song because it's really perfect now.
I can see a crow on your judgment day.
We thought it might be good to stay in a heavy metal mood, and we have composed a song called Prophecies very early in the songwriting period, and that occurred to us to be the perfect song for this position. It delivers a traditional metal feeling, but at the same time, due to the way the guitars are treated, especially in the beginning, it also has modern clinic feeling to it. For us, it's like, the perfect sing-along song after 2 still demanding openers, to have something really basic, really easy to grab, and Prophecies is the perfect for this part.
This is building kind of a bridge to the last album, At the Edge of Time, because it was song parts that we wrote already in the songwriting period of At the Edge of Time, but we never finished that one. We continued working on these parts very early in the songwriting process, and we could even bring in very new ideas. So it is combined with ideas from 2 periods, and that's why this song has kind of different approach, which I like very much. The 4th song is called At the Edge of Time. It is like, at that moment, everything or nothing. So, all in, let's say all in. This song is very special. It was hell of work because it was the first orchestral song we worked on. It became very complicated in the songwriting because we started anew. Let's say that we did an experiment, let the orchestra play first to make it more organic. But it became a real challenge for the band to play along with this orchestra timing and tuning. So it was maybe the most intense work from all the songs. It took most of the time, but in the end it's a very emotional song. It's going very deep, and the fusion of the metal band and the orchestra works perfect now.
For me, this one, At the Edge of Time, is a sort of constant cliffhanger in itself. It starts with a climax and it never loses the climax. So it is demanding for the listener because there's so much going on at the same time. It might take 2, 3, 4, 5 listens before you really dig into it, but it has a grandeur which we hardly ever have achieved before.
the saints come marching.
The first weeks after a tour, you still have the feeling of this live power and the feedback of the fans inside of you. So when I come back, it's most of the time fast songs I start with. So we wrote a song.
We first called it Encrypted Time.
Yeah, right.
Then we later on renamed it to Ashes of Eternity.
It has powerful riffs, it's very fast. From the guitar technique, it's very different from the old stuff. I tried some new things and I think it came out quite good.
Ashes of Eternity is a total headbanger. It is a modern speed thrash song which contains, maybe from my point of view, the best intro section of the whole album. This was kind of difficult for me because we came back and he came up with some very modern heavy riffing with harmonies which you hardly ever will find in a metal song. I needed to come up with something, suitable and still Blind Guardian-like.
For me, this song grew very much in the production. The demo we did was very nice already, but it's a song that needs to progress in the production. We could achieve this in the recordings and then it grew and grew. And probably we will play it one day live.
When all the magic is gone.
We defined so many different things in the first 5 songs that we were really happy to create a song called Distant Memories. This one is actually a very nice modern song. It has a semi-ballad feeling, has some very progressive guitar arrangements, nicely supported by a great orchestra playing, and some very atmospheric vocals, I would say, with a great choir which carries the whole song. Memories is giving a little calm before the storm. Probably one of the most beautiful songs we've ever written, and it gives the sort of rest the listener would need after 5 such intense songs. There is a kickstart in the Holy Grail, no doubt about that. It is actually a song Frederick came up with during the regular songwriting period. He surprised us with some high-speed Blind Guardian elements, which we immediately digged in and started working on. The output is probably the most traditional Blind Guardian song on the album.
Was called
The Throne and is called The Throne, yeah. I kept it.
Yes, it's another orchestral, very epic song. It has lots of classical elements in there. I would say typical Blind Guardian trademarks, but it has one, maybe the most important part, which was not expected by me at least, which is a more musical. I like this combination very much. We never did something like this before. Hansi came up with this idea and I think it's a real great new element in the Blind Guardian family, combined with this soundtrack-like music with orchestra and this heaviness. It's a real good combination.
You need to struggle for the things you really believe in.
Yes.
And this is what a production is about. We do have very good chemistry, so we accept big arguings and probably verbal fights. It's obvious, a necessary thing during a production, and it has been the case on that one, but for the better, I would say.
Yes, for sure. Nobody knows in the beginning what will come out in the end. So everybody has a vision, and the vision is influenced by your own taste. And since we don't have exactly the same taste, we are all individual, probably the vision is a little bit different. It's a finding process. You need to discuss, you need to see what the other person wants and where you want to go, and see how you can combine those ideas. As long we fight, I see that there's enough interest from everybody to really be into it and to have this, what I call hard blood for the music. Because if you don't fight, you don't care. I want to see everybody really into it and fight for it. And the spirit in the band is still there. And that is the most important thing for me.
It's bursting out. Fire, walk with me.
Don't even dare to say it, or I'm about not to say it, but we were able to create a final setup of songs which makes it up with the songs before. And that's a good thing. There is no loser on the album. That's one of the things I truly believe. But to say that, Sacred Mind is probably my most favorite song on the album. It is Blind Guardian at its best. There's no doubt about that. It starts misleading the listener again, because you could get the impression you will be listening to a ballad or a mid-tempo song. But it ends up to be a sort of infernal ride through time and space. Musically, it leads you really to bizarre places, and it demanded the most out of me to deliver that during vocal performance, because it's such an intense song and it needed to be performed in a certain way. And this might surprise people as well, because it is very harsh, and I love it.
One great point in this piece of music is that there's no respect of anything. It's going its own way, without any rules, without any structure or that you can foresee. It's always changing, it's always doing the unexpected. And that's what I like very much. You will be very surprised when you listen to this.
When they are coming, give us guidance.
We luckily composed a song called Miracle Machine, which is a piano ballad. Yeah, it shows another side of Blind Guardian. It's classical, but in a more melodious and calm way. It's just piano and vocals, and we have some very nice little chamber orchestra coming in. It certainly created the space. The last song, the final song on the album, the climax, the top notch of the album, the Grand Parade, would need it to shine in its full glory.
Okay, the Grand Parade. Yeah, it's an epic song. The main focus for me was to improve the dynamic of a song with the orchestra, to build something up, to let it fall down again, and build something new, to really play with dynamics. To do this with a metal band and together with the orchestra is a real challenge.
As Andre said, it was quite complex songwriting. The nice thing about the Grand Parade was that usually if you have such complex structures in the music, it is difficult to find vocal lines which match up with, you know, whatever is coming up in the music. In this song it was very organic. There was not a lot of trying out, but it was more like, you know, having a good idea about what the music was supplying and finding something which would complete the whole thing and make it more enjoyable for the listener. So when I got the first 2-3 minutes with music from Andre, it was peanuts to complete it with vocals, which, as said, especially in the classical music, is not so easy always. We continued like that. We found a choir immediately, or a chorus. There was no discussion about that. We had an idea how to build the whole thing up to the end and make it even more dramatic. And this is just like a dream come true. Now it is the song which ends up the album, which was my intention from the beginning.
Maybe we should mention that this song developed, and I remember that Hansi did 2 vocal performances for this song, and that is kind of extraordinary. He really sang everything twice, and it's a 9-minute song, so only to choose the best parts possible and the best performances possible. So this is probably one of the best vocal performances of Hansi ever, and in my opinion the best songwriting we ever did.